Hello and welcome. We're very glad to have you here joining us for the launch of the International Energy Agency's new special report on energy and AI. I'm Jethro Mullen, head of the IEA's communications team, and I'm joined today by IEA Executive Director, Dr. Fatih Birol, and by our Director of Sustainability, Technology and Outlooks, Laura Cozzi, who oversaw the new report. And I'd like to note this new, major new report provides first-of-its-kind analysis examining all aspects of the links between energy and AI. It's freely available to read and download on our website, and even includes its own AI agent to help you navigate the report. So during today's event, Dr. Birol will make some opening remarks, and then Laura will present the key findings of the report. We'll then take questions from journalists. For the journalists taking part in this press webinar, we invite you to send your questions via the Q&A function in the Zoom. You can do this at any point during the presentation, and we'll also take a short break right after the presentation for you to enter your questions. And with that, I'll hand over to our Executive Director, Dr. Birol.
Many thanks, Jethro. Greetings from International Energy Agency headquarters to all the colleagues. Today, as my colleague Jethro Mullen just mentioned, we are launching yet another report, a special report on energy and AI. Dear colleagues, in the last few years, artificial intelligence, which was an academic topic many years, turned to be a $1 trillion industry. And we all know, or we all read, that it is going to affect our economy, industry, all parts of our lives, daily lives, substantially. It is now a fact. And energy sector is at the heart of all AI matters in two ways. Number one, you need energy, more specifically electricity, in order to run the data centers for artificial intelligence. This is one way that the energy and AI are interwoven. But there's another way, which is that the AI has the potential to transform the entire energy sector, many technologies and many fields. It is the reason International Energy Agency has taken this issue, as we always do, seriously, and since 1 year we are working on this very topic. Last December, we have organized to date the largest global conference on energy and AI. We had representatives of almost all technology, AI technology companies, energy industry, all technologies, and governments and regulators to discuss what are the looming challenges for AI and energy in the next years to come. After this conference, there was in Paris a major AI Action Summit hosted by President Macron of France and Prime Minister Modi of India, with about 60 heads of states, and the IEA made I believe, a critical contribution, important contribution to this global AI summit. And yet today we are here to release our report to tell you how much energy AI will need, we think, and second, how the AI can transform the workings of energy industry. I would like to thank my colleague Laura Cozzi, our director, who oversaw this very important report. I believe it will be a reference report for years to come, but also two of my outstanding colleagues, Thomas Spencer and Siddharth Singh for their excellent work, and the entire team, the project team worked on this. Now, dear colleagues, let me give you a couple of my takeaways from this report. First, there is no AI without energy or without electricity. There is no AI without electricity. It will require substantial amount of electricity, and this has been an important question on the side of the technology companies and the energy companies and also governments. How much it will be creating new demand, electricity demand. So my colleagues made an excellent work here. Our numbers show that between now and 2030, the additional electricity demand coming from AI could reach about 1,000 terawatt hours, which means the annual electricity consumption of Japan, one of the largest economies in the world. This is global, but the global number, even though very impressive, it may well mask what happens in countries where there is a lot of activity on AI. I would like to start with the US. Since years in the United States, there is a lot of activity on artificial intelligence, and technology companies are very, how shall I say, busy with their projects. We expect in the United States between now and 2030, the electricity consumption, total electricity consumption will grow, and half of the growth of total electricity consumption in the United States will come from data centers for artificial intelligence. So almost half of the US electricity demand growth between now and 2030 will be driven by the data centers. It is huge, and to put it in a context, for example, the amount of electricity that will be used in the data centers for AI will be higher than the electricity consumed in the industries such as chemicals plus steel plus aluminum plus cement, all the energy intensive industries. The data centers will be consuming more electricity than that. In Japan, a similar situation. Again, in Japan, we expect that almost half of the electricity demand growth will come from data centers. I was only 2 weeks ago in Japan, and I know very well that the government is looking into this, how we are going to meet that growth coming from the electricity demand growth coming from the data centers. So about 50% of the electricity demand growth in Japan will come from data centers, and reviving a trend that the electricity demand was weak, stagnant in Japan, and it is now going to increase. It is not only in advanced economies, dear colleagues. We see the impact of the AI on the electricity consumption. In Malaysia, for example, between now and 2030, about 20%, 1/5 of the electricity demand growth will come from data centers. Another very important country when it comes to AI and energy in India, again, I mentioned to you that this AI summit organized by Prime Minister Modi and President Macron recently, this February in Paris, the Prime Minister Modi said how much India is looking forward to be a leader in terms of artificial intelligence, and ready to host several technology companies in India. And again, for India, it is an important topic, electricity demand growth and AI. just to give you again put in a context, today one of the largest data centers, if not the largest, being set in Gujarat in India, will consume electricity as much as the city it is built, which is a population of 10 million people. So huge growth coming from, again, data centers in advanced economies, in emerging countries, depending on their ambitions for artificial intelligence. Now, the question is now here, with which technologies, with which fuels we are going to meet that demand growth. When we talk with the technology companies who will buy this electricity, their priorities are to have electricity supplies that are secure 24/7, and they are low emission technologies. And when we look at their plans, their projects, their strategies, we see that the current preferences lie with the renewables, coupled with the batteries and strong grids, and natural gas. These are the two main options for many companies. And of course, we know that it changes from country to country. Maybe, for example, in the United States, we may see renewables and natural gas. In Japan, we may see nuclear power. And I should say also that the interest coming from the companies for a new, secure, clean electric supplies meant it also gives a support for emerging technologies such as the small modular reactors. We see some contracts between the AI companies and the SMR companies, and also the bioenergy. We also see bioenergy, geothermal, especially the second generation geothermal, is getting a boost from the interest from the technology companies. And Jetro, you would remember recently we made an excellent report on the geothermal and how the advanced geothermal can help to address the electricity demand growing around the world. So, dear colleagues, all in all, our first takeaway is electricity demand will get a boost from the data centers. Different countries, different growth trajectories, but in general a strong driver. And we have to meet that demand growth through different technologies depending on the country's conditions and the regulations and the economic context they are in. Now, there is the other side of the coin. This time, how the AI can transform the energy sector, or the impacts on the energy sector. I have two examples to give. I am sure we will hear from our director, Laura Cosi, a lot of examples here, but I want to give you two examples. One is the impact of AI, artificial intelligence, on grid management. Today, dear colleagues, the lack of grid is a major headache for the governments, for the electricity industry around the world. But AI can help us, artificial intelligence can help us to optimize the use of grids, therefore increase the capacity of the grids around the world, especially in those countries where we apply AI. Because how we use the grids in the best way, in the most efficient way, will help us to save, to build less amount of grids. And our numbers show, if I look at it here, if we use AI in an efficient way to manage our grids, we can save up to 175 gigawatts of grid transmission capacity, which is, of course, a big help for the governments, for the electricity industry. This is one area that we can see the impact of artificial intelligence on the energy sector. There are many other areas. For example, there are many technologies. We see that the pace of the innovation accelerates with the AI being a part of the projects. And energy security, which is a main preoccupation for our agency, AI can have two different roles. One, when we look at the statistics, we see that the cyber attacks on the energy utilities increased significantly in the last few years. And we also know that the AI has been used to intensify those cyber attacks. This is something to worry about from an energy security point of view. But AI can also help to increase the resilience of our grids, of our energy assets, if they are used in a wise manner. In fact, maybe I should mention here that on 24th, 25th of April this year, the UK government and the International Energy Agency is holding a major future energy security summit in London, looking at all the aspects of energy security, including this issue I just mentioned. Here perhaps I should express my thanks to UK government, Prime Minister Keir Starmer, and all the colleagues there, as well as the several ministers and the business leaders and academia joining to that conference in April, 24th, 25th of April in London. So, dear colleagues, before passing the word to my colleague Laura Cosi, our director, let me tell you that we are an energy organization, and as an energy organization, when I talk with the energy industry and the governments, I believe, and I hope it is not a too bold of a statement, the energy industry is caught unprepared to the speed, the emergence of AI industry and its demands. And it is important that the technology, the AI company, it goes to a country. This company wants electricity. And the countries which are able to provide this electricity, readily available electricity, and as I mentioned, the secure and the clean electricity will be one step in front of the others to attract the investments and the AI industry in their countries. So I believe our report will be serving for technology companies, for energy industry, and governments working harmoniously together to make sure that the AI industry is used in a way to support the efficient and sustainable and secure use of energy, and at the same time that the governments and energy industry provides the energy that the AI industry needs. I personally think this report, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, will be a reference report for the many stakeholders around the world. And once again, many thanks to my colleague Lara Cosi and the entire team. And with this, I am turning over to you, Laura.
So thank you very much, Dr. Birol, and it's my pleasure to take you through some of the findings, some of which Dr. Birol mentioned already. So maybe let me start by answering the first question, which is why did we do this report and why did we do it now? So in fact, what we have been seeing over the past couple of years are two important things. The cost of chips have gone down dramatically, and on the other hand, the models that are used to train AI have become better and better. which has meant in a very simple way that the computation used to train AI models has skyrocketed, as you see here, especially in the past couple of years, by 1 trillion times. This is also very clearly visible in what has happened in market capitalization, where AI-related companies have really boosted AI capitalization, accounting for 60% of the growth in market cap. And as Dr. Birol said, we have been witnessing now, and we are witnessing now, $1 trillion industries around the globe. But importantly, what does this mean for our daily lives is that we are actually able to use AI on our phones. 40% of households around the globe are actually saying that they are using generative AI in a continuous way. Most likely you yourself will not read our report, will interact our AI agent and ask the question you want to be answered. So in many ways we are actually seeing and ushering in an era in which AI is seen as very much a general purpose technology, much like electricity has been in the 20th century. Now, what are the two key ingredients that the AI feeds on? It's data and it's electricity. So with those two, AI can really thrive. Now, interestingly enough, we are in the information era. However, information related to energy and electricity needs for AI has been exceptionally scarce and confused. And this is what this report is the first thing that this report wants to do, is bring clarity on the table about data and energy needs for AI. So the first thing that we have done is taking a map of what is the situation today, which means we have actually looked around the globe over the 10,000 data centers that exist already, and done a geospatial analysis, and this is what you see, the result of this geospatial analysis. If you were to take a picture of the average data center in the world, it would look like this. So 4 key characteristics of data centers today. If you compare them with the other energy-intensive sectors, the first thing you notice is that data centers are located very close to cities, very close to urban areas, much closer than steel plants, coal mines, or mineral mines. What does that mean? They are likely to connect to grids that are already most likely quite congested. The second thing is that data centers like to cluster together, which means where you have a data center, it's very likely that you will have another data center. So this is very clearly shown in the data today. For example, in the United States, 50% of new data centers are planned to be located in already existing facilities for data centers. The third important element is a time element. You need months, maybe a year and a half to build data centers. This is much quicker than what you would need to build factories, steel plants, etc., which poses a question again in terms of reliability and availability of timely availability of energy. And finally, something that Dr. Birol mentioned already is those data centers are growing very quickly in size. So today, an hyperscale consumes the equivalent energy of around 100,000 households. The largest data center under construction today would consume the equivalent of 2 million households, but the largest announced is 5 million households. So this is the picture of what are data centers today, what are the key characteristics that are quite different from other energy-intensive sectors. Now, what we have done is a major survey to understand what are the chips that are being used in data centers, how they are put together in the servers, how the servers are built and used, to come up to understanding quite precisely how much energy, how much electricity is used in data centers today. And we find that is around 400 terawatt hours. This is around 1.5% of global electricity demand, so it means manageable, not very large at global level. However, if you look at the trajectory from 2017 to today, electricity demand from data centers has outpaced electricity demand growth by a factor 4. Looking forward, we have been looking at planned data centers, shipments, and again, location efficiencies of all these data centers around the globe. And as Dr. Birol mentioned, our analysis shows that we are going to see this electricity demand for data center surging by 2030 to around 1,000 terawatt hours and growing further to 2035. As you can see here, very clearly is the AI portion of data centers that is pulling this growth, growing at a factor of 4, basically. Now, every country has a different story. In fact, every local grid will have a different story. Dr. Birol mentioned this already. If you look at the United States, the leader today in AI, around 45% of the additional electricity demand from now to 2030 is really going to be in data centers, becoming a very, very large industrial cluster for demand, larger than all the energy-intensive sectors together. Importantly, AI is reversing a trend of flat, sluggish electricity demand that we have been witnessing in advanced economies for over a decade. We have heard the example of Japan, but also in several European countries there has been really a boom. Other countries, China as well, emerging countries and developing economies. We see some hubs that are emerging very strongly. Dr. Birol mentioned Malaysia, Gujarat, and others. However, maybe important to say that while demand for internet in those countries is around 50% of the global traffic, to date, only 10% of global data centers are located in those geographies. Now, how are we going to meet this fast-growing electricity demand? What we have been doing to answer this question is really a very detailed and geographically specific analysis, understanding, talking to the tech companies and the energy sector, what are their corporate strategies, PPA, location of the grid, the mix of the grids. And what we find is, as Dr. Birol said, that you're going to see a growth of a lot of sources, renewables aided by storage, but also dispatchable sources like nuclear, like natural gas, like geothermal. As you can see on the right-hand side of these slides, the mix is very different depending on the country where you're in, and if you were to zoom in at the local conditions, you would see very different conditions too. For example, in the United States, you see a combination of increase of natural gas because of the specific conditions of cost and abundance of natural gas there. In Europe, is more about a renewables growth. And depending on the conditions, I would like to stress that on the one hand, the quality of the electricity production will matter. At the same time, the speed at which those new electricity can be brought online will also matter hugely. Here, what we have presented up to now is our base case. However, we cannot ignore that there are very large uncertainties that pertain, on the one hand, for example, the macroeconomic condition and the fact that AI may actually see more breakthroughs in the year to come, and this may actually lead to higher demand for AI and therefore more demand for energy, in which case we see basically all of the sources still seeing a big push with natural gas ramping up later in the years more. There is also another other type of uncertainties, more on the downsides that may be reflected or driven by, again, macroeconomic conditions on one hand, the ability of the energy sector to scale up quickly enough, or again, development of AI models that are more frugal, that need less energy, or that become much, much more energy efficient going forward. So in the book, you will see that we have explored all of these cases to give all people that are working in tech, in energy, and in governments the full spectrum of outcome going forward. Now, one important interlinkage between, another important interlinkage between energy and AI is about energy security. And we have explored the multiple dimensions of these interlinkages. Let us start with one, which is something that we at the IEA have been flagging now for the past couple of years, and it's related to critical minerals. Now, we have very clearly seen that an emerging new dimension of energy security is the one of securing minerals for the energy sector. Interestingly enough, many of the minerals and the materials that are needed for the energy sector are the same that are needed for AI. So you don't have digitalization and AI without copper. This is very similar for electricity. Equally, you don't have AI without chips that use actually rare earths and critical minerals. For example, here you have the example of gallium that is expected to be a very essential component in next generation of chips that are going to be much more powerful. And importantly, AI will demand a very large amount of gallium. And as you can see here, as it's the case for many other critical minerals, this is very concentrated. So the energy sector and the tech sector will and are facing today similar challenges vis-a-vis those questions of availability of minerals and, for example, copper. Another item is electricity security, and Dr. Birol mentioned this already. We have been collecting data about cyber attacks on energy utilities at large, and the numbers are very clear. These are going up very, very significantly, and what we witness is actually AI has aided these attacks to happen. On the other hand, AI has helped the utilities to actually fix the issues as quickly as possible. So the two sides of the coin. And finally, looking at more the physical aspects, what we have been analyzing is, as we've shown earlier, the pipeline of demand on the AI side and data center side, the location of this demand, and very specifically what is happening in each of the grids where these data centers are going to be connected to, the new power plants capacity there. And what we find is actually that if we don't act, around 20% of the plant capacity addition of data centers is at risk of not having the electricity needed to power these data centers. The good news is, however, that we have time to act, and there is jobs for the tech sector, for the energy sector, and for regulators. So first of all, on the regulatory side, speeding up permitting and new power plants will be very, very essential. For the energy sector, equally being very responsive in providing the energy that is needed. From the tech sector, starting to explore much more unexplored areas on flexibility for data centers and their efficiency. And we analyze that if these three groups work together, there could be ample space for this energy to be provided in a timely manner. Let me conclude looking at one other important aspect, which is on the one hand, how much emissions can we expect will be due to these new data centers and the electricity that they need, and on the other hand, what AI can do for energy applications. So first of all, if we look at how much emissions can we expect from data centers, our analysis shows that it's around 500 million tons in 2035. This is a worst case scenario for emissions, meaning that it looks at the very high end of demand for electricity. So this is very clearly an increase, so it's worrying. On the other end is around 1.5% of emissions in that year. This is one part of the story. There is another part of the story which is incredibly important and very unexplored, which is how much AI can enable in terms of emission reductions and, quite frankly, beyond in the energy sector. Dr. Birol mentioned grids. Dynamic line rating can open up a significant amount of grids, really giving breathing space in a lot of the grids that are very congested today. with a cost that is a fraction of what it would be if we were to build new lines. This means that we could integrate more variable renewables, therefore increasing affordability and ultimately decreasing emissions. We have analyzed in the report lots of these use cases. In fact, we will put them all online when we will launch the observatory in the coming weeks. Lots of use cases for every part of the chain in the energy sector. And if I can give another couple of examples, in industry, for example, we see that automation, predictive maintenance can really increase productivity, therefore decreasing energy cost and therefore emissions as well. Another example is using AI to optimize traffic. Our estimate is that you could have the equivalent of taking away 120,000 cars from the road. Of course, as you make something cheaper, you would be expecting that you would use these things more, so you would have something that technically is called the rebound effect. But even if this happens, if we were to put in place the right conditions to have widespread use of AI in the energy sector, the potential for emission reductions, cutting costs, making energy more affordable, far outweigh the direct emission that we would have from the electricity sector. One final word before giving back to Jethro. Very clearly, one of the key messages of this report is that information and very clarity of information of energy needs for AI, the expectation going forward, and a dialogue between tech sector, industry, and governments is going to be very essential to have a smooth pathway going forward for all actors involved. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the presentation, Laura, and the Executive Director for his opening remarks. And we now have time to take some questions from journalists. So we invite the journalists in attendance to send your questions through the Q&A function of the Zoom if you haven't done so already. And please do mention your media outlet along with your question. We're going to take a brief break to give you a chance to enter your questions. And as Dr. Birol and Laura highlighted in their remarks, the future of energy and AI will hinge to a great extent on the interactions between the energy sector, the tech industry, and governments. So during the break, we will hear some thoughts on the key issues we've just been discussing from some of the leading players in energy and AI. We'll be back shortly.
AI is transforming the world and growing faster than expected. By 2030, AI could significantly increase electricity demand everywhere in the world. Our choices made today will determine if this growth supports sustainability or causes issues like grid overloads and higher emissions. Sustainability is not just about cutting energy use. It's about making energy systems smarter, more flexible, and ready for AI demands. The good news is we know what needs to be done. By focusing on 3 key pathways: managing AI energy footprint, modernizing the grid, and transforming data center into active, flexible player in the energy system, then we can ensure AI drives progress without compromising sustainability.
I wanted to share 3 areas where we think that partnership can help responsibly deliver the electricity abundance that's going to be needed in this age of AI. So the first area is grid optimization. Tapestry, our moonshot project developed by X, is using AI to give grid operators accurate as well as dynamic insights to manage the grid. And today we are very excited to announce a new collaboration with PJM Interconnection, whose grid spans 13 states as well as the District of Columbia in the US. Now, second is demand flexibility. We're using advanced tech to shift compute tasks in time as well as location. And this provides near-term value by helping to manage peak loads. And third, innovation in energy generation. Last year, we signed the world's first corporate agreement with Kairos for power from multiple small modular reactors. And we also celebrated a first-of-a-kind enhanced geothermal project with Fervo. So we are truly excited about this progress, but we also need bold policy solutions and partnerships.
Renewables is absolutely essential to deal with climate change in the future, and AI has the potential to supercharge the growth of renewables. AI can be very useful in predicting demand growth, in balancing grids and in absolutely increasing power generation. But AI itself is energy intensive as well because it runs on data centers, which require a lot of renewable energy. And that's where renewables can actually return the favor to power the growth of AI as well. So there is fundamentally a symbiotic relationship between the growth of renewables and the growth of AI in the future.
Over the past couple of years, we have seen the potential of AI for sustainability in action. For example, Microsoft collaborated with the Pacific Northwest National Laboratory to use AI in discovering a new battery material requiring significantly less lithium, a breakthrough achieved in weeks rather than the years that traditional research and development would have required. AI's transformative capabilities extend far beyond sustainability. The AI economy also has the potential to advance both economic growth and environmental stewardship.
Well, in the past, I think the global conversations on AI and energy were quite separate conversations. And in the course of the past year, we have realized that the energy demand for AI and for training of large language models is absolutely huge and is increasing at an incredible pace. So we had to bring the two conversations together. And at the AI Action Summit, we did that for the first time. And we launched this coalition for sustainable AI with over 100 partners.
Hello, welcome back. So now we have a chance to go through the questions. We're getting quite a few questions and we'll get through as many as we can. Some questions are about sustainability, emissions from AI and data centers, including one from Natia Alonso from Agence France Presse. She's asking about the concerns about the environmental impact of AI on climate change. Don't you think that the race to build data centers will lead to an increase in fossil fuel consumption? And then there's also a question about why the IEA did this report, saying you're the International Energy Agency, not the International Technology Agency. Why is the IEA doing a report on AI? So perhaps, Laura, you could take that first question on emissions and so on. How concerned are we about this? And Dr. Birol can explain a bit why the International Energy Agency is doing a report about this technology. So Laura, over to you.
So thank you, Jethro. So we have actually tried to be as factual as possible in the analysis, and what we find is that indeed this additional electricity consumption will need more energy to be produced, and some of this, although not the majority, will be emitting more than we were anticipating earlier. So there is a rise in emission. However, we also highlight that there are several strategies that can be taken, certainly on the production side, trying to procure as much as possible low emission technology, but also increasing the efficiency of data centers, choosing their location, operating there more flexibly. And third, and I think very important point equally, is that we are very much focused on the one part of the equation, which is the direct emission that will be produced while producing this electricity. But there is a huge amount of, several times larger, possibility of reducing emission for AI applications, and we will continue to work to make sure that those opportunities are exploited as much as possible by the energy sector, working very closely with the tech sector and governments.
And Dr. Birol on
What was exactly the question? I didn't.
So I think, let me check. You're the International Energy Agency, not the International Technology Agency. So why is the IEA doing this report on AI?
Okay, I got it. Okay, this is I think, interesting issue, interesting question. Dear colleagues, everything about energy, around energy, above energy, under energy, IEA is at the center. Everything around energy, we look at the implications, and it is very obvious to us that the AI will need a lot of energy as a new emerging driver for demand. And it is important how this demand will be met in a secure way as my colleague Lara Corsi mentioned, in a clean way and in an affordable way. We have to look at this. We also have to look how the AI can transform the energy sector, help the better functioning of energy sector in terms of accelerating the innovation of different technologies, the pace of the increasing the pace. So we have to look at these things. And we are a data organization. When you look at this excellent report, again I say it will be a reference report many years to come. There's a lot of data. We put data on the table for stakeholders and the others to decide this is their way, and for the others, this is my way, this is your way to put the data. I always say, my colleagues, data always wins. So therefore, we put the data, the stakeholders, our readers, our governments, industry will look at the data and make up their mind. And it is the reason we couldn't put this emerging AI trend aside, ignore it, and look at our business as usual work. So we pick up that and anticipated that this will be a very important issue, and put it in the agenda of the IEA as an international energy agency looking after many technological issues.
Thank you, Dr. Birol. So I think we have time for just a couple more questions. We're already a little bit over time, but so we have one from Jeremy Cresswell from Energy Voice. He's asking whether the findings of this new report, the projections for energy, especially electricity demand from data centers and AI, will this make it necessary for the IEA to change its electricity generation, consumption forecasts, projections, and so on? Does this new research point to a sharp upward revision of electricity demand? And then also questions about the different sources to meet this electricity demand. For example, Junior Isles from the Energy Industry Times is asking about coal. So how will it play out for the different fuel sources, and what is the best power mix for meeting data center demand for electricity? So perhaps, Laura, if you could speak a bit about what does this mean for our forecast projections for electricity demand.
So thank you very much. Of course, we, in all our analysis, in the forecast, in the World Energy Outlook later this year, we always update everything, taking into account all latest market trends. We will continue to watch this very closely, and we'll include it in all our forecast and the World Energy Outlook later this year. But again, this is something that we have been working on for the past year and more. And it's very, very aligned, the finding of this report, with some previous analysis, including the World Energy Outlook for last year. Again, putting things in perspective, we are expecting that AI will contribute to around, at global level, 10% of global electricity demand, very, very close to what we were expecting previously. But of course, throughout the year, we will continue to update and take into account all the latest information.
Thanks, Laura. And then Dr. Birol, the question on the power source, the different energy mix that could fuel data centers. What do you think?
So this will depend on countries. Each country will have a different choice based on their energy plans, the resource endowment, their priorities in energy policy making, and their targets in terms of their emission reductions. So when we look at globally, we see that the renewables will be important, as they are quick to build and linked to the transmission grids. This is one area. Of course, as my colleague Laura Corsi mentioned, renewables coupled with the battery storage will provide 24/7 electricity. But in other countries, we will see, for example, especially I guess in US and Middle East, natural gas can play an important role, whereas in some others, such as in France, we are in, or in Japan, I expect nuclear power will play a more important role than other countries. So in general, we hope to see as IEA that when the electricity demand of the AI industry is met. It is met in a secure way, in a clean way, and in an affordable way. It is the reason we come up with different scenarios and a lot of data on the table for the decision makers to make the best decisions for their countries, for their companies, and for our planet.
Thank you, Dr. Birol. I think that's a good note to end on, and it's all we have time for. We've covered as many questions as we can in the time and even gone over time. So if any journalists have questions that we didn't get to, please do reach out to our press office and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And otherwise, many thanks to Dr. Birol and Laura. Thank you to the journalists for all the great questions. And thank you to everyone following this event online for your interest in our work. As Dr. Birol mentioned, the Energy and AI Nexus will be among the issues addressed at the summit on the future of energy security that we are holding in partnership with the UK government on the 24th and 25th of April in London. So we hope you will follow that event, which large parts of which will be live streamed. And the full report, the full Energy and AI report, is freely available on our website, along with the AI agent to help explore it. So do please take a look. Thank you and goodbye.